Hello, I'm Vladimir Kramnik, 32 years old. I'm currently the world chess champion, and I would like to tell you a bit about my story, my life in chess. And it all started 25th of June 1975, when I was born in Tuapse, a small town on the Black Sea in the Soviet Union. Now it's Russia. It's just actually on the border with Georgia, near Caucasian mountains. So yeah, I was born 1975, and I remember the first, let's say, anecdote about my birth. My father, when he went to the hospital where my mother was giving birth, that day, 25th of June, then he was checking the list of the children who were born that day, and my name was on the list, so he was incredibly happy. And okay, there was a list, and with a name, weight, and okay, kilos and centimeters, and out of, I don't know, 10 or 15 boys and girls which were born this day, I was the heaviest one and the tallest one. So my father, because he was a painter, so he always had a pencil with him, you know, this typical one, a serious heavy one, so you can draw at any moment you want. He had it always in his pocket, so he took it out and he wrote in front of my line with my name, he wrote champion. So he told me this story once I became the world chess champion, and he said that he was the prophet. So then my childhood was very typical for that time, for Soviet Union. Okay, I was born in a rather, I would say, well, wealthy family. So to say, okay, it's not wealthy by Western standards, definitely, but by Soviet standards, okay, it was doing pretty well. So at least we had a separate apartment. I had a brother who is, I still have a brother who is 5 years older than me, and we had a separate apartment, which was quite an achievement at that time in Soviet Union. I would say that, okay, it was not incredibly huge. I think it was like 30 square meters apartment for 4 of us. So my father, mother, me and my brother. So it was a bit tiny. Now I understand it, but at that time it was already quite a lot for Soviet Union, because you know many people in Soviet Union, they lived all together in one big apartment, you know, in one family in one room. So this was rather typical way of living. People were pretty poor, and at least we have as I said already, we had a separate apartment, which with the windows just in front of the sea, in front of the port. Tuapse is quite a big port in Russia, with a lot of ships coming from different countries, and we also have beaches, so it's just on the sea. And as a child, I was pretty often going to the sea to take some sun and to swim. So nowadays, actually, it's a typical phenomenon of all actually people who were born on the sea, that I'm rather indifferent to the sea. I mean, I like to be on the sea, but I'm not so motivated to swim or to lay down on the sun, because I used to have it like daily. It was a daily life for me. So yes, and what else I can say about my childhood? It was normal childhood. I mean, I went to school when I was 7, to normal school. I would say that this district, this Tuapse, was a normal town. I mean, normal provincial Soviet town, with, okay, a lot of factories. We have certain oil factories there, some big, actually pretty big repairing ship factory, and so on and so on. So it's a rather industrial town, with rather normal, I would say, working people living there. So okay, I was I was not really in some kind of elite atmosphere around. I would say that as far as I am aware, as far as I know, quite a few of my classmates, they went to prison rather soon after finishing the school. So I was not really. I wouldn't say it was a ghetto, but it was a normal worker's place, with certain rather tough life lessons which you were getting from the childhood. I mean, of course, I had certain fights in school with teammates, with guys who are a bit older than me. So, not normal thing. I was playing football. I was not really a big hooligan, I would say. No, not really. Not as most of the other guys of our school. But okay, I was also not a very soft boy. It was pretty difficult, it's all about atmosphere around, and when you are attacked in the childhood, you have to defend. That's what I was taught. So, okay, sometimes we were getting into some fights, but nothing too dramatic. Normal children things, at least for Soviet Union at that time. Yes, and at some point my father, he was and he still is a big fan of chess, because at that time in Soviet Union chess was very, very popular, especially because of Karpov. He became world champion in 1975, actually the year I was born, and he was very much promoted in Soviet Union. Chess itself was very respected and promoted in Soviet Union. I think it was basically a sport number 3 after football and ice hockey, which are incredibly popular also in our country, and chess was at that time definitely taking the 3rd place. So many people were playing chess, interested about chess, and you had a lot of news about chess tournaments. We had even a TV program each week on the first channel about chess, about half an hour, 40 minutes program. So it was really something. Chess was really something, and it was very not only popular but also very, very respectable. So my father, he also learned how to play chess, and he taught my brother and me, but definitely I would say he didn't have bad intentions. I mean, he of course he didn't know that it would go so far. So of course the idea was just to teach how to play chess, like you teach children different things, like you teach them how to read, how to how to swim. It was simply for general development. Of course, my father was not thinking at that time about me becoming a world champion or even a professional chess player. But I really liked it very much. I remember, I think he taught me when I was 5, and I liked it a lot, really a lot, immediately from the beginning, which is a rather rare case, because basically the problem of chess comparing to football, that for children chess is a little bit, I would say, not dynamic enough. Because children, they like to move, they like to run, to play some games, and chess, in a chess game, okay, you have to sit, you have to solve certain, let's say in brackets, mathematical problems. But probably I was this kind of kid who enjoyed precisely this. As far as I remember myself, I was never so eager to play all kind of dynamic children games. Okay, I liked football a little bit, ice hockey, but I was not a kind of child who doesn't sit in one place for more than 1 minute. I was a rather patient child, and I was enjoying to get into the books, to read books, and once I learned how to play chess, I got incredibly interested in it, and I asked my father to buy me some chess book. Okay, the choice was not very big in a provincial Soviet town. What kind of book you could buy? It was a book of best games of Anatoly Karpov, of course. So, and this really influenced a lot. I think this really made a big influence on my chess style in future, because I'm sure that the first book you have, the first book you read, makes a big influence on you. And since that was the only book I had at that time, of course I studied all his games. I think it was like 50 or 100 best games of Karpov, and I studied them all, you know, days and nights, and I really liked them. Okay, as a kid, you know, Karpov was definitely my hero at that time. He used to be world champion. He had a very good also image in Soviet Union. He was always on TV. He was everywhere, like, I don't know, Zidane in France or something like this. You know, he was really a big star. And somehow, yes, I think that since that time until now, I think my style is, maybe if you compare my style with some other top chess players, maybe Karpov comes closer than anyone else to my style. And I'm sure that if the first book, my first book would be Best Game of Kasparov or Tal, I'm sure that I would have a different style then. But okay, it happened as it happened. I have nothing to complain about. And so I think that for about half a year I was studying just alone. I was studying the game of Karpov. Of course, not really understanding what is going on. Okay, what could I understand? I just knew how to move, how to move pieces. Okay, of course, my father, he tried to explain me that chess is not just about making moves. There are certain strategies, so on and so on. But that's all. Of course, I didn't have a trainer, and of course, it was difficult to understand deeply. But I remember that I was simply enjoying going through the games. I'm not sure I had a big understanding of what was going on, but I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed, and I was reading the comments of Karpov, and I was rereading them, and I was really getting a lot of pleasure out of it. And then, okay, when I was around 6, there was a small chess school which opened in our town, which was held by a chess lover. He's still alive, and from time to time I still call him, and he's a big chess fan. You know, this kind of player who loved chess all his life, who was studying chess all his life. Besides, of course, he was not a professional. He had some other profession, but this guy who comes back from his work, has dinner, and sets up the pieces in his room. That's the first thing he does after dinner, you know. It's really a big chess fun. And he took, I don't know, like 10, 15 children who wanted to study chess, more or less of I think I was the youngest one. They were like from 6 to 10, or even to 12. So children, and he started to explain us, something about chess, to show us the game. And I think that was really the first moment which was very, very important in my career, because I remember that he was loving chess so much. He was enjoying it, his work so much, that somehow he was transmitting his love and his passion to us. Because I remember I was visiting his lessons, you know, it was a big joy, because he was so happy talking about chess, talking about world chess champions, showing us the games, that somehow we couldn't stay quiet, we couldn't get this, in brackets, virus, you know, of love to chess. I remember the first time, actually, I came to him, because my father, he brought my brother and myself. So the main intention was that my brother would start this school, and me maybe in a couple of years. And his name was Raald. First he asked my brother to play a game with him, just to see if the guy knows something about chess. So he played a short game. He said, okay, I take him. And then said, well, what about the small kid? My father said, well, do you want to try to play a game also with him? Said, okay, let's try. And I remember it was my first exam, you know, my first chess exam in my life. So I even remember very well the first moves of this game. It was going like, he gave me white, and I understood that I have to do something not too stupid to be accepted in the school. And I knew already more or less the general strategical things about chess, so I went like e4, and followed by d4. Okay, he was playing moves like g6, b6, just to let me set up pieces the way I want. So I went e4, d4, next knight f3, knight c3, bishop d3, castles, rook e1, bishop f4, queen d2, rook a d1, something like this. He was doing something on the 7 and 6 rank. Okay, he was very happy about my setup. Okay, he's putting pieces in the center, so I can see that we take him. So this was my first game of chess, more or less. And then, I spent like 1 year. Unfortunately, after 1 year, this school somehow stopped working, but also I became already too strong simply for the schools, because I was developing rather rapidly. So already at the age of 7, I became, I got the first category, so-called in Soviet Union, so which is equivalent of more or less 2000 rating. So, I was really developing rather rapidly, and I remember my first tournament, it was Tuapse Men Championship. They let me play there because I was getting pretty strong already. And we have, in general, we have players around 2000, maybe a couple of players of 2200 in our town at that time. But most of them are more or less 2000 level. And I think I was like 6.5 when I was allowed to play in men's championship. I remember my grandfather, he made me, because I was very small still, and it was quite difficult for me to see the board. I just couldn't see it. I was too small when I was sitting. So he made me some special wooden box, which was put under my chair, that I can sit on it and that I can be tall enough to see the board. So I remember I was always coming to a chess game with this wooden box, and I won quite few games, which was a big disappointment for my opponents, which were, I would say averagely like 40-50 years old. And to lose to 6 years old kid was quite, I guess it was quite a humiliation. But finally I managed to get 50% in this tournament, which was pretty fine. I remember my first tournament game against the teacher, because this person who was teaching us, he was also playing in this championship. And actually he won this championship. He was the best player at that time in our town. And I lost the game, but after a long fight. I think the game was even adjourned. And I lost it, maybe on move 60 or 70. So it was a big privilege to me to play with him and to have a fight at least. I must say that already next year I managed to win this our Tuapse Men Championship when I was 8. I think I won it already for the first time. And then I won it a couple of more times, and then I stopped playing it because I overtook this level. So the only thing that, because I was born in a province, and comparing to many talented chess kids from Moscow, St. Petersburg, we didn't really have a real chess school, really trainers who could help me. So I can say that till I was 9 or 10, I was basically working alone. I mean, and of course, when you work alone, it's much more difficult to improve quick, because you simply don't know what to do, you don't know many things. I remember one of my first books was a book of Nemtsovich, which called My System. I think it's a very good book. Actually, I would recommend everyone who starts to learn chess to go through this book, because he's explaining very well the main strategical motives of the game. The only thing that, of course, it would be very useful to have an experienced trainer who would explain certain things, that not to take things too categorically, because I find Nemtsovich, he was a bit categorical in his assessments, and I think that it took me some time to understand really that things are not so, straight in chess. That if you have a weak square, it doesn't mean that you have a lost position. It took me some time. I remember till I started to work with the trainers, I was very afraid of weakening squares. I must tell you my secret, I'm still quite afraid to weaken my squares, but at that time I was really panicked. If I have isolated pawn or weak square, okay, I was paying too much attention to it, because, okay, just because a big authority like Nemtsovich, he said that you shouldn't do it, so I was really trying to avoid it by any means, sometimes by getting mated, simply. So, okay, it's... Of course, I think that if I would have a trainer from the very, very beginning, it would go even smoother. But still, still it went pretty well, I must say. So I started to improve. I started to win our regional tournaments. I remember that first time, I think when I was 8 also, I went to... no, I think I was 9. Yeah, I was 9. I went to play in Krasnodar region championship, under 16, actually. And I managed to win it together with Tivyakov, a famous grandmaster now, because he's also from our region, from Krasnodar region. He was actually 11, I was 9, and we won this regional championship under 16. So we were basically the two most talented kids in our region. Besides, Tivyakov was already rather promoted. He was rather well known in Soviet Union as a very talented young player, and I was absolutely unknown yet at that time. And there were some other good chess players from our region who played there, like Pavel Trigubov. He is now also a good grandmaster, and some others. So we had rather talented generation, I would say, in our region. So slowly I started to improve, and I started to play in regional, very successfully in regional tournaments, but still I couldn't really get out of my region, because we didn't know how. We simply didn't know how. Because you have to have certain links. I don't know, we didn't know anyone in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in all regional centers. We simply didn't know how can I play in tournaments outside of Krasnodar. And it was pretty clear already that for my region, I was already strong enough to get out of it, to start to play in the national level, in junior national level. So finally, okay, I was winning this Tuapse championship, some junior regional championship, but it was clear that something has to be done. And then I was just lucky. I was simply pretty lucky, because we had a big chess lover also in our town in Tuapse, who was actually he was a chairman of the main post, Tuapse Post. I still also keep contact with him. He's a very nice person, and he decided, okay, it was a desperado decision, because he saw this. He was also getting worried about me, that okay, he saw I'm talented, I play chess, I improve rather rapidly, but I don't have possibility simply to play decent tournaments or to improve my level, And he decided, because he had possibilities to find a telephone number or address of any person in Soviet Union, because he's a chair, as I said already, he was a chairman of the post. So he found the telephone number and address of Mikhail Botvinnik, because at that time it was around 86. The Botvinnik Kasparov school started to work. Kasparov became world champion in 1985, and this school started to work, and they were invited. They were inviting a few, I would say 10, 15, the most talented players in Soviet Union, juniors in Soviet Union. And of course, since neither me, neither him, we were sure that I'm on such level, I didn't expect it at all, that I can be invited to such school, of course. But anyway, he just decided to give it a try without telling me or my father. He called Botvinnik, and he told the situation. Okay, we have a talented chess player. He seems to, I don't know, I'm not a professional, but he seems to have a good talent, but okay, he's lacking opportunities simply to play, and what can we do? And I must admit that, to the honor of Botvinnik, who was probably receiving such calls, every second day from different regions of Soviet Union, because I guess everybody wanted to get to his school, or at least to get his attention. But he didn't say no, he didn't forget about this call, and he answered, well, okay, just let me see his games. So ask him to send me his games of recent 2-3 tournaments, and I will check it. And only then this person informed me and my father that, okay, I had a conversation with Botvinnik, he wants to see your games. So I wrote down my games, and I sent it through this person, I sent it to Botvinnik, and of course I didn't expect anything special out of this adventure, but all of a sudden, in just a couple of weeks, this chairman of the post, he received a call personally from Botvinnik saying, okay, I like very much his games, I want to invite him to my school. Okay, this was some kind of, I don't know, miracle, which, because, of course, Botvinnik Kasparov school, for me, a small regional provincial boy, it was something which was difficult to imagine, difficult to believe, simply that I can be a part of the school. And as I was told by a friend of Botvinnik later, who was helping him in this school, it was much later, let's say, when I already became a strong grandmaster, he told me the whole story, because he was with him when Botvinnik was checking the games. And his story went like this. So Botvinnik, he started to check the games. He checked like 2 or 3 games out of, I don't know, 50 which I sent. And he said to him, okay, we take him. This person said, well, but Mikhail Moiseyevich, maybe we will check the other games also. Said, yeah, definitely we will check the other games, but I can already tell you that we take him. So this was the pleasant story which finally I learned about Botvinnik checking my games. So he probably liked very much the way I played, and so finally 1987, the first time I came to his school. I must admit that, of course, it was okay. They were rather clever, these people, Botvinnik, Kasparov, because, of course, at that time you could theoretically you could just invent some games on a very high level and send them to Botvinnik, and in fact it's not your games. So of course they needed to check me. To be sure that it's me, that it's my games, that I really play on the level according to this to what I sent. And before taking me to their school, they gave me a possibility to play 2 tournaments. Actually, one was Soviet Championship under 14, and it was 86, so I was 11. And there was some other tournament, so it was like a kind of test, little test. Who am I? And but I played it very well. Actually, I won this Russian Soviet Championship under 14, and the other tournament also I managed to win. So then they probably realized that it's really my game, that I'm really talented, and now for sure we take him. And I remember August 1987. That was the first time I came to the session of Kasparov-Botvinnik school, and that was the first time I saw Botvinnik, I saw Kasparov live. And for me, as a kid who was very interested in chess, it was something unbelievable. It was a dream, simply a dream, not only just to be in the school, so it's already a kind of proof that I'm, okay, one of the most talented juniors in the country, but also simply just to see them, to speak with them, well, not really to speak, but to listen to them. And I was, I don't know, it was kind of, I was in nirvana for these 2 weeks. It was a non-stop nirvana, just listening Kasparov talking about his recent match against Karpov, which I was following by radio and TV. I remember that when they started to play in 84, 85, I was 9 and 10, and I was following every game as much as it was possible. Of course, at that time there was no internet, and I remember that we had radio programs. I remember now very well that the games were starting at 5 in the evening, so we had a radio program at 19:05, and the next one is 23:05. So 19:05, they were just talking about the beginning of the game, they were giving moves, and 23:05, the game was whether finished, whether adjourned, and they were giving the whole game and the position. And in between these two radio programs, I was analyzing the position, and I actually writing it down in writing notes, my analysis. I think I still have all these notes. Me, let's say 9-10 years old, trying to analyze the recent position of Kasparov-Karpov game. So yeah, Kasparov talking about his match with Karpov, but Botvinnik speaking about, I don't know, his match with Stahl or Petrosyan. You know, that was something unbelievable for me. And I think that they liked me, especially Botvinnik. They liked very much my style, because actually already, again, because of the influence of Karpov book and probably Nemtsovich book also, I was very eager to change queens and to play quiet endgames already when I was 7 or 8. That was, okay, I really like to do this, to win some delicate, slightly better endgame. But Botvinnik, he liked it a lot, because most of the children, they play, at this age, they play in very aggressive tactical style. This is what usually children do. And I was totally different. I was trying to swap queens as soon as possible. Not always, of course, I was also trying to make combinations, trying to play some attacking chess, but I was not at all, I didn't mind at all to change queens and to play an endgame. And this was what Botvinnik, again, liked a lot about me. And I think Kasparov, he also appreciated my chess abilities. And I think in one of the interviews at that time, he said that, okay, Kramnik is very, very young, but he's already very, very talented, and I think he has a bright future. So everything was as good as it gets, you know. And since I started to be in this school, first time I started to get possibilities to play in serious events. I mean, like Soviet Championship under 18, for example. This was my first tournament, January 1988, with all best Soviet juniors at that time, and I can name you, I don't know, people like Kamsky, Akopyan, Tivyakov, Shirov was playing, myself, I don't know, everybody who is now on top was there. And it was under 18, I was 88, it was January 88, I was 12 only. So it was a pretty difficult task, but I managed to do really well. It was an open of, let's say, 100 players, and I was fifth. I think Kamsky was first, as far as I remember. Then Shirov was somewhere nearby, maybe second or third, and I managed to take fifth place, which was a big achievement, taking into consideration that most of my opponents were much older than me. So, and then, okay, slowly I started to get certain possibilities, because Botvinnik, he was really trying to follow my development, and trying to give me some opportunities to play in serious tournaments. And so it went slowly. I started to be one of the best juniors in the country, and I started to have more or less much more serious training. First of all, we had these sessions twice a year for 2 weeks, which were very, very useful, really useful. Some lectures from Botvinnik, from Kasparov. Nothing could be better than this at that time. To improve your chess, to explain certain things about chess. And at the same time, as I mentioned already, I started to get a lot of possibilities to practice, to play with the strongest juniors in Soviet Union, and this meant at that time the strongest juniors in the world, because we were really dominating Soviet Union at that time in chess. So all these both things together, of course, they made my improvement very, very quick. So I started to play world championships. I think the first junior world championship I played was in 1989 in Puerto Rico, under 14. And Okay, I was rather confident because I already played a couple of international tournaments. Actually, I already managed to beat a couple of grandmasters at that time. So I had a rating of 2,490, which was at that time a pretty almost a grandmaster level, I would say, at the age of 13. And I was very confident that most probably I'll manage to win this World Championship under 14. But, you know, when I came there, okay, I was playing very well. I was winning most of the games. But, you know, there was one Bulgarian guy there who was just winning all the games, unfortunately. The guy started 9 out of 9. Okay, I think I had something like 8 out of 9. And finally we met with each other. I couldn't manage to beat him. I was black. We made a draw. And finally he won the World Championship, so which was very annoying for me. And of course you can guess what was his name. Of course his name was Veselin Topalov. I think the next World Championship I played under 18 and I already managed to win it. I also what from my childhood years, one of quite big successes was I won Soviet Championship under 26. I think we had this kind of event, Soviet Championship. It was called Young Masters, Soviet Young Masters tournament. So all, let's say, best players under 26 were playing there, and I was only 15, and I managed to win it, which was a big achievement because the tournament was really pretty strong. Yes, and slowly I was improving. I was improving my rating. I was improving my play. And the big jump came in 91. The first big jump arrived in 91 when I went for 2 or 3 months to Brazil, actually, to play different open tournaments. And I think I gained 90 elo points just in 3 months, because I was really crushing opponents. Okay, they were definitely weaker than me, but I was already potentially much stronger than 2,500. So after this half a year, my rating went to 2,590, which was, I would say, nowadays equivalent of 2,650 something, which is already a very good grandmaster level. And then so it was in 1991, and then the second jump, the second progress came in 1992, the golden year for me, the year when I really entered the world of chess. I became, so to say, well known by all world of chess, and this will be the second part of my story.